My name is Quinnya Solomon, and today is May 27, 2018. And today I am interviewing Mildred Solomon, my great-grandmother. Grandma, say hi.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine.
Okay, that's nice to hear. My first question for you today is, what school you had attended?
I attended Mills High School. It was an all-black school. The schools were totally segregated in the South in the 50s. We had our schools and the white children had their schools. There was no intermingling.
And my next question is, can you give me some examples when you or somebody you know was treated poorly by whites?
Yes, I guess I can give you a few examples. This incident, the first incident I'm going to tell you about, was something that happened to me when I was around 13 years old. There was this little place that we used to call Uptown where we had the little stores, and there was an ice cream parlor there. I used to go in the ice cream parlor and I would stand there and I would order an ice cream cone. But on this particular day, for some reason, I decided to sit on the stool and order the ice cream cone. And the minute I sat on the stool, the proprietor told me to get off the stool because that law had not been passed in the South that blacks could sit on the stools in white establishments. And so I just politely took my ice cream cone and went on my merry way. I didn't feel any way about it. I just says, I guess I wasn't supposed to have been sitting on the stool. And the next incident that I can elaborate on is once me and my mom had been grocery shopping, and it was at night, and we were coming home, and we was walking along this dark highway, and these white kids passed along, and they threw something out of the car, and they hit my mom with it, and they were saying all kind of things and calling her bad names, and they had hit her with an orange, and she was very upset about it, that they would pass along and just hit her like that for no reason. And I was kind of upset about that myself. I didn't see why they should be so mean, but there was nothing we could do about it, really, but all we could do was just be upset. And the next incident I can tell you about is once there was this man that he had gone away from home. He grew up and left home, and he moved up north, and he came back home with his family to visit some of his relatives. And he had went up to this little place that we call Uptown, and he saw this white guy there that I guess he had known him from when he was a little boy, and they used to be in the fields working together on the white guy's dad's farm. And he saw him and he wanted to greet him, and he went up to him and he hugged him, and the guy hauled off and punched him, and he says, "What's wrong with you? You can't be hugging me. What is your problem?" And he even had the guy arrested, saying that he put his arms on him or he touched him and without him telling him that he could do that. And everybody was so upset, we couldn't figure out why the man would do that. But I guess it's because, back in the South, blacks and whites just didn't interact like that. And there's another incident. One time, my aunt, she was a very sweet lady, and she always went to church. She was a very good church worker, and she had been to church this Sunday, and it was at night, and she was on her way back home, and she was riding with the pastor and some other ladies, and he was on his way somewhere else, so he put them out alongside the highway, and they got out inside, like the ditch inside, and this white man came along, and he had been drinking, and he ran off the road and went inside the ditch and hit my aunt, and he killed her instantly. And we were so upset about it. And the white guy went to trial, but they didn't do anything to him. He was found to be not guilty for killing my aunt, and he was drunk driving, which seems like it was such a horrible thing for him to get away with that. But we had to live with it. There was nothing we could do. As time went on, I moved away from home after I got married. My husband was in the service. The first place he was stationed was in Fayetteville, North Carolina. It was in the 60s by then. One night we were coming home from the movies. We were riding on the city bus. I didn't know anything about buses or where you were supposed to sit on a bus. And I decided to sit in the front of the bus. The bus driver looked at us through the rearview mirror and smiled. And I was wondering, why was he smiling? Then I come to find out later on, it was because the law had just been passed in North Carolina that blacks no longer had to sit in the back of the bus, that they could sit in the front of the bus. We could have been in trouble. We thanked our lucky stars because we didn't even know about the law. We didn't even know we were not supposed to sit in the front of the bus. Eventually, my husband moved to another base, which happened to be in Columbus, Georgia. And as soon as we got there, we were informed that blacks do not ride in the front of the bus. This was around 1962. We had left one state, North Carolina, where the law had been passed, to a state where it had not been passed. We had to do an about-face really fast.
Okay, so how you feel about these things that went on?
Well, I feel that there were a lot of injustice in my childhood and later years. A lot of things have been reversed, though, or made better by civil rights leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He wanted to have equality for everybody, black and white. He was such a courageous man to put his life on the line for us. He really believed in the cause. Mm-hmm. He wanted to do what he felt was right for his people. And what makes it so amazing, he wanted to do it in a peaceful manner. Mm-hmm. There were other people that thought you could accomplish more through violent protests, but not Martin. Dr. King knew what he was doing. He was a man of vision.
Okay, how do you think race relations are today?
Well, race relations today surely could use some improvement. For instance, there are too many incidents with police brutality against blacks, especially black male. And when we do get the officer before the courts that has been accused of the brutality, they are usually not convicted. There was an incident a few days ago where a black man ran from the cops. And when they caught up to him, one of the cops kicked him in the head. Now that was not even necessary.
Okay.
The man was already on the ground. White people are treated so much different when they are arrested than blacks. The cops always seem to shoot blacks first and ask questions later. The white suspect gets to live another day to tell his story. They get shot in the leg. The black man gets shot in the head or 40 times in the back. Now that can't be justice. There's a football player named Colin Kaepernick that was kneeling during the national anthem to protest against police brutality against blacks. And do you know he has been banned from football by the NFL owners? They won't give him a job because they think that white fans do not approve of this protest. The NFL owners have to side with the ticket buyers. Not that many blacks buy tickets for sporting events. But the blacks are the one playing in the more popular sports like football and basketball. That should count for something, but I guess not. Colin Kaepernick should have a job in the NFL because he's a decent quarterback, but racism is keeping him from getting a chance to play.
Do you think the President Donald Trump is helping with racism in this country?
A big fat no. No way, no how is he helping. I truly believe that the man is a racist. How on earth he ever made it to the White House, I will never know. He is very bad for race relationship. He was trying to make a case against President Obama. He tried to prove he was not born in the United States of America because he could not stand the thought of a black man being president. And ever since he has been in the White House, he has tried to overturn every law that he has put in place, starting with Obamacare. Some years back, before he was put in the presidency, there were these black men that was convicted of a crime they did not commit in New York, named the Central Park Five. He still said they were guilty, even though DNA proved they were innocent, and a person confessed to the crime. That is nothing but racism in its truest form. He wants the country to be like it was in slavery days. I think that is what his slogan, "Make America Great Again," means. What else could it mean? America is one of the greatest countries in the world. If he could send all blacks back to Africa, all Mexicans back to Mexico, all Muslims back to the Far East, if he could rid the country of all black and brown people, he would have made America great again in his eyes. And there are a large majority of white people that agree with him on this matter.
Okay, how do you think race relations will be in the next generation?
Well, I hope the next generation can figure it out better than we have in the past generations. But as time goes on, I feel we will come together better than ever. It is the only way we can survive and live here on this planet together. We have to learn how to love each other and be able to respect each other and the differences we may have in our cultures. There are more and more interracial marriages now. There was just a wedding between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, a biracial person. This was one for the history books. We will be seeing more white guys asking black girls to marry them. The norm is black guys marrying white girls. As we see more and more of the races mixing, soon everyone will be the same color in skin, and there will be no more white supremacy. Eat your heart out, Donald Trump.
Are there anything that you wish you done differently with your life?
Yes, I wish I had not gotten married so young. I married right out of high school. I was only 17. That is much too young to marry. I should have continued my education and went on to college and got a degree. I always wanted to be a librarian. I think that would have been a good choice for me to become a part of society. I would tell anybody, get your education first, attend college so you can be a productive person in society. Wait to get married and start a family. Live and enjoy life for a while. Then you should be ready to have a home and family. When we can put family first, this will be a better place for all of us to live together in peace and harmony.
All right, what can we do to be a more productive society?
Like I said, if we finish high school and go on to college and get a degree in something, it would better our chances of getting a good job to help take care of our families. Jobs are harder and harder to come by, so you have to give yourself a fighting chance. There will be less crime in the world if we would be better prepared to be able to get jobs and everyone be able to have their own material things and not be plotting to rob and steal from each other. There is so much crime against each other. New identity theft is a big problem. You have to be so careful with your personal information nowadays. People make a living stealing your information from social media. This should not be happening. I know there will never be enough jobs for every single person to have one, but at least we should be prepared if one become available so we can be independent. Nothing comes easy in life. I hope my children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren have a much easier life than I had and be able to learn from the things that I experienced in life. I had some good experiences and some not so good. But you have to take the good with the bad and move on and learn from every mistake and try to make a positive. Life is what you make of it. You can have a good life or a bad life. It is totally up to you. And I hope they don't forget to include God in whatever they inspire to do in life. You need some spiritual guidance in life to help you get through bad times. Because believe me, in every life, a little rain must fall. But the sun will rise in the morning, if you only believe. I wish I could stick around to see what will become of this society, but I know that's not possible. I hope my family find their way in this society. I hope they have something to contribute to the betterment of the world and that they get rewarded for their good deeds.
All right, this concludes our interview. And Grandma, I want to thank you for giving me the pleasure to interview you. My name is Quinnya Solomon,